I myself have managed to get Strathclyde Fire and Rescue to procure a welfare pack to go on operational appliances, for example, which has sanitary provisions in. So basically women are catered for, whether they be at a station or at an operational incident.
I think the women's section has been addressing some of the issues, but the two areas that I still find very frustrating, personal protective equipment and uniform in general. I can't believe that we still have a problem. I'm still wearing men's trousers, I still don't have female fit shoes, and with PPE I still have to have certain things measured up specifically for me.
We still haven't got adequate changing facilities. We're still fighting for separate toilets, for separate changing rooms.
To me, one of the main issues of working at a fire station is that it was designed for men. The fire stations that we have in London are very old, and I can understand why they may need to be adapted and sort of some improvisation put in place. But when we're looking at new stations that are being built, and I look at stations that were 10 years old and the new ones that are coming up, there is no excuse why they are not made for a diverse workforce.
When I first joined the fire service operationally, we used to have a sign that we put on the shower doors, for example, for when I was in there, and then the sign was obviously taken away when I left. Thankfully, it wasn't abused at that stage. But what I did find was when female facilities were put onto one of the stations that I was at, unfortunately some guys thought that those facilities were better than what they'd had for themselves, and I paid the price through them abusing the facilities, if you like.
It's no good getting women into the fire and rescue service if once they get there they're left, to drown with no support, no encouragement. There's no requirement to stay. There's no carrot to keep you in the fire and rescue service. You've got no facilities in the workplace to shower and to use the toilet and to change that are for women. In this day and age, which workplace do you know that doesn't have a toilet for a woman and a toilet for a man?
We were just talking at our Scottish Women's Committee that Grampian have now got an agreement that every whole-time fire station will have dedicated shower, locker rooms and toilets. And you're right, to the people outside the fire service that would probably seem appalling because they would assume they were there to begin with.
Women are entering the workplace. What we're seeing a problem with, and we've always seen a problem with quite frankly, is if they're not going to be treated properly and respected at work. I mean, this is things as simple as having a toilet and a shower and somewhere to change that's just for women to use with privacy, decency, dignity. Like any workplace in 2009, you would expect to be able to go to the toilet and get changed privately, not to share it with men if you're a woman, or women if you're a man. That this is not progress, and all this nonsense about unisex facilities being progressive, it's not.
The locker room there is the locker room for the men. That, until a year and a half ago, used to be the women's locker room and the men's locker room. And what happened was there's 3 aisles in there. The women used to always be put down the middle aisle so the men could have privacy at each side when they were getting changed. At the far end of the corridor we had one small cupboard that was basically changed into one toilet, one shower. And at one point there was between 8 and 9 women trying to get changed between shift and back and forward between shifts. So this was obviously totally unacceptable. So what we did do was we organised a women's meeting, and we invited women councillors from the fire board. They came along and they heard, the experiences from the women themselves, what was happening. Women were actually leaving, at the end of a shift and not having a shower or not getting changed because, number 1, the locker room was in beside the men. Number 2, they would have to queue. So they're actually going home dirty. The women members of the fire board came to our meeting, listened, and obviously had a word with the chief fire officer. It certainly wasn't listening to us, but it certainly listened to the fire board. And then from there, and that was where they had put money into changing facilities at Toll Cross. And this is the new facilities down here. Also, they've got a keypad on the door, so only the women know the codes to it. And this is big lockers to cater for, for all your storage needs. We've got a resting area as well if you just want to chill or, take a bit of time out on a stand-down period, maybe read a book. And through here, we've got a disabled shower and toilet. We've got 4 separate showers, 3 separate sinks and 3 separate toilets.
We had, as you're aware, a huge presence of women in London who had already been organising for quite some years, and they kind of fed the basis of where we were going to go with our issues and what we were going to do and what were the priorities, in consultation with all the other women that had been part of that inauguration in Waitley Hall. And the key points that we thought we would need to address were maternity was a huge thing that women were struggling with.
Really, really proud of the maternity policy, for example, and the fact that we wrote it over 2 years ago. It was published a year ago, and we've campaigned around it successfully. So the fact that we've got it fully embraced in Staffordshire, got it fully embraced in the Isle of Wight. We've got some great policies out there across the country, not necessarily always the pay, but some of the practical things that really impact on our women on the ground.
If you've got a great maternity policy in a fire and rescue service, that's an attractive, way for the women to become a firefighter. It's also a great way to retain women.
During the time I've been the Region 12 rep, I've worked on the maternity policy, managing to get the Isle of Wights to take the whole of the FBU policy on board.
Fire services have actually had to think about what they can do with women firefighters. Just because they're pregnant doesn't mean they can't fulfil many parts of their role, and we're really proud to see that isn't happening so much anymore.
If there's something that doesn't feel right or that you're not happy with, you should make that point known. And you don't have to thump the table, you don't have to scream and shout. I suppose my best advice would be don't leave it too long.
The first PPE discussions that took place were concerning women's fit and the fact that we never used to have a women's fit. Now it's got to the stage where gas-tight suits, chemical protection suits, face masks on BA sets themselves, which a huge majority of the women are unable to use.
We had a debate about mannequins, and the mannequin that fire kit was tested on was a mannequin that was in the shape of a man. And when women got burnt at jobs, it was in areas where their fire kit fitted them differently, so we realised that we needed a fire kit that was tailored for women to keep them safe and protected at work at the same standards that men wear. So we campaigned for what today is Sophie the mannequin, to test fire kit on properly.
What's good about the Women's Committee is it gives us sort of a sense of hope that things will change, and there are people out there working really hard to sort of make those changes.
Sally and I have been friends for a long time, and I know that I don't think I would maybe have got so far or have done so well, whatever, if that hadn't been for my women colleagues, because in the earlier days it was very scary at sometimes. Even though I had support, I wasn't always with my initial watch.
It shows a diverse workforce, which not only is good for firefighters and can appeal to all firefighters and help with their needs, but also for the community. It's a very positive image that you have females in higher roles.
The type of activities that the young people have undertaken this week include hose running, squad drills, ladder work, breathing apparatus, which is a huge pack they wear on their back. And what you're going to see today is a hose running.
Hose team number 1, delivery number 1. Aiming at the red cone and hand it over to your teammate.
They are the future, and I think it's important that we run life schemes like this, that we get out, that we talk to the community, that we are the role model of the future. This is how the British Fire Service needs to be. It needs to be diverse. It needs to reflect the community that we serve.
We've been doing different little activities. We've been doing the hose piping, climbing up ladders, and we went under the underground thing with masks on in the dark, and it was good.
We've done hose running, and we've done BA, we've done the ladders, rescuing casualties.
In the beginning I was like, nah. Like on the first and second day I was like, no way. But now it's like I got used to it and I would consider it.
I wanted to carry this on after I've left school, and when I can, I want to come back to if I can.
I really enjoyed myself.
Yeah,
wicked,
really good.
Women are just as able to do the job as men.